would like to now call this meeting August 13th of the Sustainability Commission to order. Betty, can you please read the roll?
Alderperson Quigley is excused. Commissioner Black.
Here.
Commissioner Henry Gillis is excused. Commissioner Lawton is excused. Commissioner Slavin.
Here.
Commissioner Van Schindel.
Here.
Commissioner Weber.
Here. Okay, so we move on to public comment. Public comment upon matters not on the agenda. Comments made during the public comment period shall pertain only to matters under the jurisdiction of the Sustainability Commission. Is there any public comment? And asking again, is there any public comment? And a third time, is there any public comment? All right, so we'll move on to our action items. Item number 1, approval of the July 9th, 2024 Sustainability Commission's meeting minutes.
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
All right. Item number,
All in favor?
all in favor?
Oh, we'll do a roll call vote.
Okay. Betty, can you do the roll call vote?
Commissioner Black.
Yes.
Commissioner Slavin.
Yes.
Commissioner Van Schindel.
Yes.
Commissioner Weber.
Yes.
All right. Item number 2, consideration and possible action on Adopt a Drain program.
Yes. So the Sustainability Commission's been moving towards an Adopt a Drain program as a stormwater education and outreach program. The purpose of the Adopt a Drain program is to encourage De Pere residents to go out and volunteer to monitor local storm sewer inlets and clean them of debris kind of year-round. We can do salt in the wintertime, leaves in the fall, and then grass clippings in spring and summertime. The reporting cleaning of inlets back to the city would also benefit the city and our municipal separate storm sewer system. It's an MS4 permit we have with the DNR. In the creation of this Adopt a Drain program, the city reviewed multiple municipalities throughout the state with similar programs. It's big in the southeast corner of the state, especially the Milwaukee area. All the surrounding communities all band together, and they have a singular Adopt a Drain program called Sweetwater. So a lot of the guidance and discussion is based off the programs we're seeing around the state. When we encourage residents to do this and sign up, they would have to most likely sign off on a waiver where we outline the do's and don'ts of Adopt a Drain cleanup, the safe way to clear debris, being careful of traffic, wearing brightly colored clothes, don't enter the storm sewer, and then give instructions on where to put the waste that they pick up. Grass clippings, leaves can go to the yard waste site, garbage goes to the garbage, and plastics and recyclables can be recycled. So in our discussion, we kind of outlined the do's and don'ts of Adopt a Drain. As part of this program, we'd request residents to register with the Department of Public Works and indicate which drains or drain they wish to monitor and clean. After the review of the registration, the Public Works Department would coordinate the waiver signature with the resident who is interested in participating. We don't have a waiver drafted as part of our discussion and program outlined here today, but we can work with our city attorney to have one developed prior to work start. And I think it'll reflect a lot of what we have listed here in the discussion. Approved residents would then be provided a link then to report all storm sewer inlet cleanings, and that can be adjustable moving forward. Right now, we're asking for a kind of a subjective, quantifiable volume of debris or refuse they clean up at an inlet, maybe like a 5-gallon bucket's worth, or I forget what the actual unit we have on the form is, but we've attached the documents. We created a draft brochure outlining our Adopt a Drain program for your consideration, and then we created those draft forms for both signature, what it would look like when you go to sign up, what the result would be on the city side of things when we see an assignee come through our side on Public Works, and then the cleaning log. And yeah, so we do, for example, gallons or pounds is the measurable unit of debris they would pick up. And And then we have the reporting that we'd get back on that, so we can have a quantifiable number to provide with our MS4 permit and documenting on the DNR side of things. It's the Sustainability Commission's goal to have this program in place by September's Farmers Market booth on September 19th for Stormwater Awareness Week. Stormwater Awareness Week is September 21st to September 29th. If we like what we have outlined here today, and this is approved today, we would then go forward to Common Council for final consideration and approval. If approved, then we'll work with the city attorney and the legal department to establish the waiver for all registrants. So with that, I'll open her up to discussion with the commission about our opt-out to drain program outline here.
With the other cities that have similar programs, do we have any insight into how the tracking aspect has been, and like what if people don't track? Is that an issue if they don't do their logged hours?
Right.
Does that create issues for us on the back end?
No, and being voluntary, I don't know how much we'd want to police and enforce that. We will have their contact information, so we can reach out if we're not getting feedback from those residents.
Yep.
In our program, we outline it as like a monthly inspection and cleaning.
Okay.
If we're not seeing it, maybe we follow up on the second month. Hey, please let us know how it's going, or are you still interested? And
Okay.
there's steps we can do on that end of things. Looking around the states, we didn't reach out to see how reporting went, if they were getting constant cleanings from all their registrants. We could see on some sites the amount of cleanings that have been reported and the amount of pounds that have been taken away. It's not like the Milwaukee Sweetwater one. That's a big region, being around the metropolitan Milwaukee area, and they maybe had 111 cleanings when I looked at it.
Okay.
I don't know how long it's been in place, but it wasn't just a mind-blowing amount of participants.
Okay.
But
we're not reliant on the reporting information back to us to make other decisions going forward?
no,
Okay.
this would just benefit us in education and outreach to the DNR, and it shows additional poundage and cleaning taking place. On the city side of things, we are street sweeping. We do have our own inlet cleaning program, so there's already steps in place to maintain and inspect our sewers. This would just be one little extra caveat we add to our program to keep things moving.
And then are there specific storm drains that are already problem areas? I know that they can choose which ones they want to adopt, but is there a way to flag like this area or these 10
Right.
we've consistently had problems with and we'd want them prioritized, or would we handle that on the back end that someone's already close?
So as far as inlet goes, it kind of depends on the trees in the area. Like a honey locust is terrible for dropping leaves in the fall, and those are nuisances. From the engineering side of things, we have 3 different bodies of water that our system drains to. Majority of the city drains to the Fox River, and that's controlled by the DNR with a total daily maximum load of suspended solids that we can discharge into the river. And then the same with the east and the Ashwaubenon Creek. The Ashwaubenon Creek and the East River, that DNR loading requirement isn't as strict as the Fox River. So we'd encourage people, hey, if you're cleaning inlets on the Fox River side of things, especially those inlets upstream of the river that don't go to our detention ponds and that stormwater isn't cleaned, those would be big selling points for us, where we're getting actual poundage out of those basins and cleanings that we can report, maybe have a documentable poundage of material we're keeping from the river, where maybe we're getting closer to meeting our DNR requirements. On the Ashwaubenon Creek and the East River side of things, we're already pretty close to hitting those requirements. So it's not as big of a concern, but any little bit of cleaning will help throughout the city. And there's talks where maybe the different basins, be it the Ashwaubenon Creek, East River, if we're exceeding what we're required to do per the DNR, maybe we can share that, because those do drain to the Fox River eventually. So there might be some load sharing, or maybe you get a percentage of that to help cover our deficiencies on the Fox River side of things.
Okay.
It's like, especially on the east side, where it's very developed in the downtown and old, where we can't really fit a pond per se, and to treat that stormwater, it's not very cost effective. It's a law of diminishing returns, where we're putting a lot of money into it and you're not gaining a whole lot to meet what the DNR wants to see. Where this is very simple, it's going to be cheap for the city to run, and it'd be a quantifiable poundage we can get out without much effort.
Okay.
When somebody adopts a drain, does it come off the list of eligible drains or something?
We would document internally, and then coordinate with homeowners to
Okay.
direct them to a better drain if so, but.
So if you see that someone kind of gave up, you'll kind of put it back
Right.
on. Okay.
We don't anticipate, looking at other communities, we don't anticipate a huge push where everybody's trying to adopt all the drains. So we'll cross that bridge kind of as it comes up. But we have a plan, I think, if it does become an issue, but I don't think it would.
For the packet that you've provided, I do remember a few meetings ago there was a like design packet that we looked over. This would be in lieu of anything that we discussed.
Correct. So the packet we provided previously was the adoptadrain.org. It's a organization ran through Minnesota, and there was a registration fee and I think an annual fee you'd have to pay to be part of their program, a GIS mapping aspect of it. This we could then do internally ourselves and maybe coordinate with our own GIS department to track and without that fee and surcharge.
Okay. And then is there going to be ideally, if we have this approved and then it's approved by the Common Council, we could, at that September farmers market, maybe have a sign up?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Is there, this is probably self-explanatory, you know if there's a drain nearby, is there a lookup functionality if someone wanted to do this, or is it best to just, are we going to recommend look around your neighborhood and find the nearest one?
Defer to you. I don't remember how you. I think we would defer to the residents if they had an inlet in particular they wanted to clean, or if they're interested, we can help direct them.
Perfect.
If need be. So yeah.
And then also, I think this goes right in with when we're talking about grass clippings or raking leaves or whatever. I mean, I just think this is an obvious tie-in for the work that we're already doing. There's a lot of
Right.
crossover here, so it seems like a really, really great opportunity to get more education and involvement from the community.
And as part of our registration, we can incorporate our own city website, our GIS mapping called DIME. There's a layer where you can turn on all the storm sewer system throughout the whole city, and then you
Got
can
it.
see all these inlets. So
Awesome.
help them pick.
Is that layer, does that tell where certain areas drain into certain outfalls?
Yes, so it's tougher to see. The storm sewer will all be red, and then like the inlets will be little red crosses. The manholes will be little red dots. Our pipes will just be little red lines. Throughout the whole map, you'll have a faint dashed red line, and that'll break our system into sub-basins. And it kind of shows the downstream detention pond it drains to, and then it breaks into the next sub-basin, or you'll have a portion that borders the river and then just eventually closes, and that's that one storm system that just drains this outfall into the river.
Okay.
I don't think that we should, that's high level.
Right.
And people aren't gonna, most people will not relate to that. I think they'll relate to, there's a drain on my street.
Yep.
You know what I mean? But, and I also think, couldn't a couple people, like if we say, hey, these are specific ones and we make it real simple, a couple people could sign up for that, right? Because if it gets, or are you just gonna let one
I
person?
think we'd do, I mean, if you signed up as a group, maybe you could do a group cleaning of a single inlet. Still have to have a singular point of contact for that, for our registration guidelines. But yeah, if it's getting cleaned and people are reporting it, that's all we're looking for. I don't care if it's 10 people cleaning an inlet monthly. As long as it's getting done, that's what the city's looking for, and that benefit.
Whoever takes the initiative to sign up.
Exactly,
I think that's
Yeah.
great. Make the barrier of entry as low as possible, and we'll learn a lot.
And this is all naturally happening out in
Exactly.
the wild anyways. This is just kind of formalizing the process.
Love it.
Is there an option to upload a picture?
We can work on that. Betty would be no more on that.
At what stage are you looking to have a picture uploaded, Jeannie?
Like, I've seen it where people take pictures before and after.
Sure. Yeah, so like on the reporting side, so after they've already selected it and they're doing their monthly reporting to
Yeah.
have an option, yep, for sure.
Just optional.
Yep.
And then could you use that for marketing, any kind of social media, anything like that?
Yeah.
Love that.
What is the marketing plan for this program?
The big kickoff would then be the farmers market. And that's why we're going today. We wish Commissioner Henry Gillis was here because she was the big proponent of this to get this started. But if we missed this meeting with this program, we were very tight on time to make it for the farmers market.
And it's also September is Stormwater
Yes.
Week, so that was also kind of why we're set on September.
Exactly. So September, if we're doing social media posts, this should be a big focus of it, getting
Wonderful.
news out. And then we can work with, even on the public works side of things, this does benefit our MS4. That's something we could easily post about and advertise for the group just to get more interest out there.
Okay.
And it'll be on our website as well?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Do we need to take a vote?
Yes, we will need a motion and then to do a vote if the commission wants to move forward with it. Prior meetings, we had also discussed the sticker option, and there was concerns about the longevity of the sticker, and then there was the option of maybe doing a sign or something individuals could put in their window. So I did do a little research on making like a window cling that you could put in your window. That has a clear background or a white background, so we can come up with some designs for that as well if that's a direction we want to move in. We can also look at a budget for the high vis aspect of whether we want to provide a cheap vest or a cone or something like that that they can bring out with them when they're in the street area.
The thought behind this is always baby steps. Let's just get her moving. Some communities, they provide shirts and even collection bags for the cleaning. So if this goes and we're getting popular, we can always baby step into bigger and better and add on to this. But we wanted to give something for you guys to act on today.
I think speed to action is more important at this point, and we certainly, if there's the overwhelming thing, that would be a great problem to have, and we can then tackle
Yep.
future. Yeah.
So, would someone like to make a motion that we accept this,
I make a motion to accept the packet.
the stormwater?
Second that.
And then Betty, can you do the roll for the vote?
Sure can. Commissioner Black?
Yes.
Commissioner Slavin?
Yes.
Commissioner Van Schindel?
Yes.
Commissioner Weber?
Yes.
All right, moving on to item number 3, the Clean Air Initiative update.
Yes, so the intent of this item is to provide an update on the Clean Air Initiative and the next steps and any discussions we've had outside of this commission. Staff reached out to the Unified School District of De Pere and then the West De Pere School District because the commission recently pivoted to providing carbon monoxide detectors in lieu of full-on air monitors for the schools. West De Pere School District got back to us and informed staff that they have carbon monoxide detectors in their air return ducts at all their schools, and they would not be interested. The Unified School District of De Pere got back to staff today that they would be interested in participating. We're working to schedule a meeting with the Unified School District of De Pere and their superintendent, Chris Thompson, in September regarding this. So things are moving on their end. We probably won't know for the September commission meeting, but in October we should have more info from them on the quantity of monitors they would want if they're interested. They did in their email to us indicate it would be in their science department or science classrooms. So I don't know how that fits within their school district or what all schools would need this, but more info to come on that. And then looking forward in the short term, the Clean Air Initiative is also the focus of the Farmers Market booth on August 15th this week. And then we purchased 250 bumper stickers for distribution at the booth. So with that, I'll open it up to you all.
For the Unified School District of De Pere. That's East De Pere, correct?
It's East De Pere people don't like it to be called East De Pere.
Okay. Just
Train
getting
myself
my
to not to
bearings
see-
on me.
Yep.
If there are updates being made to any of the schools in the future, I think when we're having those conversations, let's just make sure whatever we're providing isn't going to be outdated
Right.
and not be able to be used in
Correct.
whatever time frame, right? So if they need it to last for 1 year or 5 years,
Right.
I'm sure we can scale whatever we're offering to that.
Yeah, and I don't think for the budget we have and what we're looking to provide, we can do a significant amount
Okay.
of work.
Okay.
So there's room for that scale to slide, but I'll make note on that just to talk at least with Chris and see what his plans are.
Okay.
So, I'd like to get a really big bang out of this. And I'm thinking about things like, can someone else be at the meeting?
Right.
Also, I would love to be there. And then other things like, can we get press involved? Because the press picked up the story about the leak, and now, our commission is saying this is really important. So I think, maybe a press release. things like that.
Yeah, if we get a plan in place, I don't think that would be a bad plan at all.
Okay.
But I want to still meet with them, see how September goes, and
Yes.
then moving forward, we'll get more involved with them. But
Okay,
I don't know much other than they're interested in meeting at this point. So.
gotcha, okay.
Chase, will it also depend on the meeting whether we have a quantity that could maybe also be offered to Notre Dame?
I will reach out to them too. So I think we can work on 2 different tracks.
And or Sybil Hop?
Right.
Awesome.
Other schools that we're missing.
Well, those 2 are, those are just not designated as part of Unified School District or West Superior,
Okay.
they're independent.
Okay.
So when we did our no idling campaign, those were also schools, not Civil Hop, we didn't hit them, but
Right,
Notre Dame, we did,
Okay.
definitely.
Okay.
They were looped in. Okay, so is there any other comment or discussion on the Clean Air Initiative? All right, moving,
Sorry, I'll probably keep that off September agenda then until October then, just to save myself some drafting and inclusion. But I won't have much more news, I don't think.
yeah, and thank you for doing that back end work
Yeah.
with the districts. All right, so moving on to item number 4, consideration and possible action on sustainable initiatives.
Yes, in the July Sustainability Commission meeting, Commissioner Quigley, Alderperson Quigley, requested we list out the sustainable initiatives we'd like to pursue moving forward. We have $10,000 set aside for sustainable initiatives as part of our 2024 budget. We don't really have anything slated to use that money. If we don't use it, it is lost, and then we'd be rolling into the 2025 budget. And we just went through the budgeting process, and looking forward to next year, everything is looking similar at this point. Nothing's been approved, but we've requested the same amount of funds that we have for this year. The only update that I can remember is composting. We requested a little more money just because we expect registration to continue to rise, and it'd go for a full year instead of the 6 months we had this year. Yes, we also requested money for a consultant for a clean energy work plan. That was a big ticket item, so I don't know if that'll survive the budgeting process, but I'll keep you guys in the loop as I know. So yeah, I have a few bullet points of things we've heard back from the commissioners to discuss as far as initiatives go, and then a couple ideas that we had on the city side of things. We have hire speakers to hold monthly sustainable talks. It could be open to the public for free. The thought on the city side of things, if we'd start at the community center, if attendance grows and it becomes popular, then we can maybe rent venues like the cultural center to have these talks if they're popular. We had an idea for partnering with the master gardeners of Northeast Wisconsin to have a tent for distribution of plants at their local events. I think they're at Voyager Park. A grant match for local sustainable initiatives, maybe rain barrels or something to that effect. And that, as I list before, right under that with a typo, Ryan barrels instead of rain. And then installation of pollinator gardens at the urban orchard sites has been a talk on our pollinator education campaigns. That could also be something we use this money for. So with that, we'll open it up to you all to discuss. Or if you have any other ideas to discuss, feel free to bring them up. And then, yeah. That's all I got.
So I feel really strongly that we need to make a decision and move. And I feel like coming off our last meeting that there was a lot of strong feelings about the pollinator gardens for the urban orchards. And that is something that would definitely be doable. So out of all of the recommendations, I think they're all great, but mine would be let's get moving on that so we can get some healthier fruit for the community.
I agree. I think all of our initiatives really this whole summer have all tied together. The urban orchards as well as pollinators and moving away from no mow May is we have to move on that. So I do agree. I also have another idea for that is with the pollinators, but I know that I'm spread really thin, so I want to like kind of just say I have this idea and I don't have a ton of time to work on it, but when we talk about what species to be planting, I think we should be coordinating with the endangered resources in our area and what, nesting habitat, foraging habitat is important. We are smack dab within the high potential zone for the rusty patch bumblebee. So let's, work with that. And then at our farmers market, we had a ton of traffic from people who are avid gardeners that have been planting native gardens for years. And there's an opportunity to see what they're planting. And so my idea would be to almost have like a GIS map of a hotspot. And you say, you see all these lupine in this one area, but we know that that species really only stays in a quarter mile. And so there's not another lupine for a half mile. Let's tell residents, if you want to know what to plant some lupine because you're going to create a corridor. We could use heat maps to create that. And that is a huge idea that would probably take a long time and many steps to initiate, but I think that's kind of what I thought of with
Is
that.
there anything like that currently exists? A mapping like that?
The Fish and Wildlife Service has the ranges. Now, they're not going to, critical habitat isn't easy to find for everything and isn't available to the public, but we can look up what their ranges might be, what habitat is suitable, and if we can find those flowering species and kind of those heat maps could be done. People were really excited about talking about what they plant and things like that, and that could be roped into the monthly speakers. Getting native gardeners to come and talk about what they have and things like that. So that's just my high level idea that I know I really can't act upon at this moment. And we're getting to the end, getting to fall anyway, so yeah.
Well, it's like baby steps, like what we talked
Yeah.
about. And so I could see us implementing a couple baby steps there.
Yeah, like,
know.
do we need to know if we want to use up funds now for pollinator gardens in urban orchards? If that's something we want to do, what's the time frame to order seeds for this year's funds? And then if that's first step, then maybe we need to start looking at a couple flowering species that would be good or something. So I guess what's the time frame we need to implement something from our end and recommendations for seed mixes?
And fall can be a great time to plant those native pollinators because the roots grow and then that's like a good downtime for them to be planted. Stone Silo, which is where I get all of my pollinators, is very nearby and would be an expert, a great consult in the community that would probably be good. I mean, Commissioner Henry Ellis as well. But I do agree. I think even to what you're saying, the bigger picture of how do we do it, the urban orchard would be a wonderful first step of like, hey, we're already filling some of those blank spots in, and then use that as a talking point to like have a bigger initiative as we grow here, but like how do we do it step by step? But I think in agreement overall with the native pollinators being a really good first step to be investing in.
It would be cool to do like a community plant day. Just invite the community, once we're good to go. See who shows up.
Yeah.
Be fun.
Like I said, they want to talk about what they grow and yeah.
And I don't mean to stress you all out about this 10,000 either.
Yeah.
It's just
No, it's all right.
this commission
No, it's a
didn't have
good problem to
budget,
have.
so I got to get you guys used to spending your money now.
Totally.
so.
Well, and is it possible to, if we need to order seed, can we do that and you don't have to actually plant them right away, or is that
Yeah,
not how?
that's
So
what
we
I'm
can
thinking.
spend the
Place
money,
the
we
order.
can take the time to plan, and go from there.
Exactly.
Right, so yeah, if the idea is to do plants from Stone Silo, then we're gonna wanna find ones that we can plant this fall.
Yep.
If the idea is to do seeds, we have until the end of the year to purchase the seeds, maybe even get them started in sort of a greenhouse situation. I maybe have a small one at home we could use, and then plant them in the spring. I do really like the idea of a community planting day. I
Love
think
that.
would be a really great idea.
Do we, now, I'm not sure if this exists. I've seen something about like a beautification committee or something. How involved is that group with something if we wanted to do a community planting day? could we use them as well to be the leaders? Or I'm just thinking community planting day, how do you know that the community knows what they're doing and does it right so that it's not wasted?
I'm thinking more, our plan is either we go to, where you had mentioned Stone, I'm not familiar with.
Yeah, a stone silo.
And have them do up a quote for us that would include plants and seeds. And then who's ever going to till the ground or whatever, they do that. So when we go to do the plant, they would be part of it. We would be using who's ever kind of laid out this plan for us, that would be part of what we'd be paying them for.
Okay.
It's just one way to do it.
Yeah.
In my head, I'm thinking, but
So the beautification committee works primarily in the right of way.
Okay.
Scott Thorson, who used to sit in my seat, is on that committee and helps run things from the public right of way perspective.
Okay.
And then our city forester is also on that. I can reach out to see what level of involvement they'd be interested. I know they are very busy, so I don't want to stretch them anymore.
Okay.
Thinner.
Yeah.
But we can always ask the question.
Okay. Another idea could be if we get a quote and a company could do it for us, could we still make it a community event where we're still saying like, hey, you can do this at your house and still make it like a day or a week or whatever it is, that we can encourage people to do this on their own as well, just at the same time.
Agree. And then there's no investment, so if the resource isn't planted properly, it was their own investment. But we certainly can do education around that and provide links. There's so much that helps you with each species and target species that we're trying to plant and all of that. And I think that would be we have time now to plan for that for next year when that would be happening. I think this is the right time to be talking about that, because baby steps. Yeah.
Well, I was thinking too with the tie-in with No More, No Mo May, how can you bring it back into each person's own space?
Yeah, we'd have to keep making mention. This is in lieu of that. It's where we're wanting to shift the focus so that people don't think we abandoned that effort. We just expanded on it.
Okay, great.
And build on your thought with the heat map. I know the DNR, like any project I do, I have to go through a endangered resources review.
Yes.
And I think they have, I think there's a map out there that they have it all listed, or at least they break down by region the things to be cognizant of.
In the NHI, but they don't always share the results.
Oh, that's the thing.
They, so.
Doesn't mean I couldn't go there and like I'm planning a project and click around the city to figure out, hey, what's endangered.
Yeah, because even if you go run like determination keys in IPAC, you can kind of be like, if you do enough tests, you can figure out where something might actually
so
be.
you can cheese it a little bit, but yeah, I don't know. I'll have to look more into that.
Is there an investment? Is there this funding that we have? Is there an expert, somebody in the UW system, someone who could work with us on that in a consulting way? Is that a possibility as well to get somebody?
Commissioner Gillis?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But yeah, is there like, that could be part of what we're spending our money on too, is what I'm thinking, because this is hard work and getting an expert. I mean, I think that's an investment.
I don't want to speak for her, but we've, like, with working with the kids at the schools and stuff, we've talked about this a lot. And she's always said, I can do it. Like, she
really
has
knowledgeable.
those expertise. So,
Do we
yeah.
that in an official capacity? Yeah, I
So
like that.
basically, kind of like the deliverables, I guess, is we have to the end of the year to spend funds. And we know, like you said, we might want to work with Stone Silo. They would be able to help planting. So
Yes, he handles whole habitats. I mean, any level of it, but that could be we could certainly reach out and get quotes. I mean, it would be an easy thing to do.
And then maybe, and I guess this year, we don't have to have the perfect seed mix and try to incorporate, everything, but we can maybe think about it and have some ideas, but it doesn't have to be perfected.
Right.
Because this is where I'm not very knowledgeable sometimes. I don't know is something, whether things are perennial, annual, I am still.
Well, and I think with the amount of money we have and where we'd be dispersing it, we have time to figure out between now and making those phone calls. I think it'll be very clear pretty quickly where we need to allocate and what we have to work with. So.
Yeah, it's a growing project,
Yes.
for sure. So do we need to make any decisions today on anything, or?
No, based off today's discussion, this item I think will be combined with the next item with the Pollinator Education Plan moving forward, with the intent that, hey, we're really going to focus on these urban orchard sites, planting pollinator gardens throughout the city and promoting that educational campaign. So moving forward, that'll get condensed down and makes my life a little easier. And if we still have time to adjust, if we have another initiative, feel free to continue to bring them up, and we can add it for discussion. But as far as this discussion goes, I'm gonna steer it more now toward the pollinator education plan.
Sounds good. So
No action on that action item.
no action.
No action on that action item yet.
All right. So moving along to pollinator education plan discussion.
Yes, the July 9th meeting, we discussed providing maps to the commission of our urban orchards throughout the city. The discussion is, as we discussed on the last item, has been about providing pollinator gardens at our urban orchards to promote the fruit growth. Betty did most of the legwork on this, so included in your agenda, we have a map of the city that highlights all the urban orchards that we have bulleted on the memo. Continuing forward, then we have the map of the specific orchards from an aerial view, where we have the orchard itself tagged with the little hand planting the garden, and then Betty took photos of each orchard showing what the garden looks like, or the orchard itself. So with that, this has all been there for your review. We'll open it up to discussion or comments on the specific orchards or plans moving forward.
To expand on the previous conversation to this, would it be a good idea to pursue getting quotes per garden or as a whole? What do you think?
On my side of things, I would recommend per garden, not as a whole, and maybe we even figure out a square footage per garden. We want to really nail it down and get specific, so whoever's quoting this knows what they're looking at and what the expectation would be. If we do as a whole, it gets vague, where they don't know how much resources they're committing to each location unless you're really dialing that down in the proposal you're requesting. And say it comes over budget, if we break it down per park or per orchard, we do then have the ability to strike line items to get back within budget. So it gives us some more flexibility on that end of things.
Chase, we had previously also discussed that this would focus more on the parks, less on the school
Yes.
locations because of the funding source. Is that still accurate? So we're really looking at Samantha Community Center, potentially Voyager Park and Brazier Park. Just the 4 locations.
Correct. And then I can continue to discuss that with our administrative staff at the city to make sure that's their intent with this as well moving forward.
Okay, because Westwood, they already have one, so that really,
Right.
they don't need one. And just because I've gone out there and looked at these, I think it's important to just choose which one's really good and ripe right now. Voyager is a mess right now because of all the demolition over there. But the community center has a nice spot next to it. And I don't think I've ever seen the other one that you were talking about.
Brazier?
Yeah, I never went out to that one. Someone else did.
Samantha Park has a lot of open space around it as well.
Right.
How do the trees look? Have you?
So Westwood and the high school both have multiple trees that are brown and dying. They don't look great.
Okay.
Samantha Park, the trees were loaded. The apple trees were falling down. There's so many apples on them. The plum trees at all of the orchards don't fare well. A lot of the plum trees have died. Foxview is actually the only location that had plums on them. The one plum tree was ripe, but they were actually overripe because nobody was picking them. I picked one, but then there were like 6 of them that actually I just took off the tree because they were just draining resources because they were overripe.
Does the community know that they can go? And I'm asking because I live
No.
here and I didn't know.
No,
So,
that was the big thing that Selena and I found out last year, is the community does not know. But then like at Voyager, the people living closest were like holding it, like they were very
they're on top of
aggressive
it.
about don't take, fruit. So no, there's very much a lack of awareness.
Okay.
And
Yeah, the info is out there for the public. You just have to look. The complaints we get is the parks aren't well signed to indicate where the orchards are. The orchards themselves aren't terribly protected. So yeah, there could be more education and outreach on this end of things, so people are aware of what's even happening.
Should we prioritize, as part of these quotes, having signage? If we're going to be out there doing something, try to say we should really get some signage out there, that it's a community.
I thought we had an update about the signage.
We talked with the Urban Orchard Committee. They have templates of signs drafted and ready to go. I don't know if they're being installed or not. I had the impression they were installed already when I
Yes.
talked.
I didn't see.
So
No,
we gotta
I went
reach
out there.
back out and
So-
figure out where that is.
I do know that Crystal from the health department did stop at our building and pick up signs for the locations that are at schools, but when I visited them, there were no signs out at any of the locations that I visited. I will admit that Brazier, Voyager, and VFW, I was not the one that took the pictures there, but as you can see in the pictures, there aren't any signs up. And it was like the week before I had done mine, so. I do agree that signage would be beneficial. So when I went to Samantha Park, actually, the Parks Department was out there putting down fresh mulch, so it looks really nice. They actually recently took the fence down at that location, and I think Kyle Roos, the forestry supervisor, suggested that fencing is a good thing to have, keeps the deer out, but I think it also maybe deters the public from then going in. Like Voyager Park is the only one with a fence up still.
So just a thought, but maybe with our farmer's market thing in September, maybe that's an additional sign that we put up at the farmer's market booth of just us, we can help with education with the orchards of just saying, as long as we're talking about this, just a thought, or other messaging campaigns we maybe can do with education of kind of goes hand in hand with this.
The other possibility is as we get close to the time where those fruits are ripening, we could do a big push on Facebook as
I
well.
think it's kind of a good idea.
What do we do, like, say nobody picks it, the fruit falls to the ground? What do we do?
Nothing.
What happens with it?
Yeah, nothing that we're aware
Mow
of.
around it and
Is there something we can do with it that would help?
There's organizations
Right.
that are going out and organizing volunteers to pick. I was a part of that last
Okay.
summer. But the lack of awareness that this is there, and then also the amount of fruit that actually can be picked, because it's, you know, the worms, everything's getting to it. So you've got two issues going on. So it's really important to pick an orchard, let's get it healthy, then let's keep doing it so that we have better fruit. Because at Westwood, I have videos we can use of, I can't even remember how many pounds of apples that we picked and then took it to the food pantries. But their apples were really, really good.
Okay, because
Really?
that's what I was wondering. Is there a way to donate it or use it for, I don't know if it helps the ground or even compost it or,
That's what my thought was, is I'm sure there's really great advertising with the composting.
Right.
On the composting side, so maybe there's a story here to tell with that of, hey,
Yeah.
yeah. Anyway,
What was the organization that brought it to our attention that is
Rooted in.
rooted in? Okay. Could that ever be just part of the practice to, at a certain point? Well, they've been going out, haven't they?
Yeah, we did.
Okay, and they've continually been, I think.
there is a process to potentially formalize their going out and doing their work and even signing the orchards to indicate, hey, this is, yes, purchased and installed by City to Pier with the school district, but it is also then maintained by organization here. And then you could have that organization's logo there to help advertise their participation. And we've been discussing with the Urban Orchard Committee about making a process to have people formally adopt an orchard, essentially, to
That's what
maintain
we
them.
need. We need ownership, like, we need people to help.
Yeah.
What do we need to take action on today? Do we need to pick an orchard or?
Nothing really here for action today. This was just a discussion item. Moving forward, this will get coupled with the budget now for sustainable initiatives. So maybe we'll frame it moving forward better to have action available on our pollinator education plan. But
Yeah, because it would be really nice, especially because you've put the time in too, to look at these and to be like, list them in order, like healthiest to unhealthy of what we would want. Where potentially
we
would be
prioritize,
best
yeah.
place. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, city staff doesn't have like a fruit tree expert. So it'd really just be kind of eyeballing it and a personal judgment call of which locations are best and worst.
Okay.
I would think it just from visibility standpoint, I like prioritizing Voyager because it gets so much traffic.
It's a double-edged sword. So the visibility is, yes, we're advertising, we're doing something good, everybody can see it, but also it's visible to everybody that lives there, and they love that frontage. So they'll have a little bit of a pushback, especially with that pond we just built there. It was a gem. People love it, but now there's algae growing in it. We're getting constant complaints now that it's unsightly, where every pond in the city is holding algae, but that's the only one I'm really getting complaints on right now. So
Yeah, I've seen that, and I think it's just a good indicator of the processes of water that everyone should be aware of.
yeah, it's a lot of fertilizer going into that pond, feeding some algae. But
I like the idea of the community center just because it's very visual. And I don't think anybody's picked fruit there. And it's right here. It's right by us. So for like community events and
I think in the short term we hold off on the community center because I'm doing a big sewer relay through that open parcel, so I'm about to really wreak havoc.
Oh, these are good things to know.
Yes,
Talking
exactly.
about what to prioritize.
I'm not disturbing the orchard per se, but I am. If you look through that map at the community center, we're kind of going right down that drive,
Sure.
and then right toward the railroad tracks. So so I'm cutting it just to the
Not
west
good
of that
timing.
parking lot, and then a lot of these trees I'm cutting off. There's a storm inlet that's shown with a little concrete swale, so that's kind of my route. So I'm really gonna, and then I'll have equipment tracking, so
okay.
it'll be busy.
Well, good to know, I
Yep,
guess.
that'll be big pipe.
So any other comment or discussion on the Pollinator education plan? All right, moving along to update on partnership with Greater Green Bay Compost.
Yes, July has come and passed, unfortunately. Our partnership with Green Bay Compost grew to 67 total registrants now. The city covered $682.50 in registration fees. That's half the registration fees for anybody who participates. The 67 homes generated 1,770.6 pounds of food waste in July. Corey did update us with another total in advance of the meeting, but I'm just going to wait for when we get to August, and I'll just create a monthly table like you see on the bottom there. In total, we've diverted about 2 tons of food waste from the dump, and it's being composted at Corey's site at Green Bay Compost. So you can see we'll continue to grow as the year goes, and we can see how the program progresses. We're tailing off a little bit on the registrant side of things, but we are still growing at least.
Would it be easy to post those totals on our page?
We do post them, and then Corey makes a big blast every month, so we do share his stuff.
I was going to say,
He's
he's
involved.
very good. And he is
eager.
very on top of it.
These,
It's
these-
impressive.
Yeah.
So these
it is.
numbers do go out on our Facebook. Corey actually sends us an email once he puts out his blast. Hey, can you share my Facebook page, Facebook post? We can also look to make a similar table that we add onto on the city website as well with this information, as far as at least the poundage.
Right.
Yeah, maybe I just plug in our own efforts, to put it on the commission. Like, hey, we've been working on this. So.
Do we have a sign up at the farmers markets all the time with us, or is it not something that we?
Pushed it the last farmers market because that was our big advertisement and
Yeah.
our initiative that month. Because we're talking about pollinators now and stormwater all at the same time, and I know that stormwater month is going to be involved with
Yeah.
the sidewalk chalk we're looking to do. So
Okay.
I think we narrow our focus and not try to spread too thin. It doesn't hurt to talk about though if people are interested.
Yeah.
All right, so any other discussion or comment on that agenda item? Okay, moving along to our final one, discuss clean energy work plan updates.
Yeah, so given this item the opportunity for the commission to discuss the clean energy work plan, as we previously discussed, we did request money through our budget to hire a consultant to work toward creating a clean energy work plan. We'll see how it lasts through the budgeting process. We modeled our budget after what Green Bay did in their Green or Bay work plan. I'm getting it confused with the composting company, but they have their nice plan they just approved last year.
Yeah, the clean
I-
energy.
I
And they just
did-
got a whole bunch of money too.
Right.
What was the amount that we requested?
I don't remember
I
offhand.
wrote it down somewhere what they, what some of the grant money they were awarded, so.
I want to say it was between 1 and 200,000, but I don't remember offhand.
So I do have an update. It really doesn't rise to the level of, that I haven't brought it to the subgroup. I do have a consultant working on getting us an itemized quote.
Okay.
It's I'm from Grumman Butkus. I know they're doing the retro commissioning at Notre Dame. So that's just when I get that back, I will probably reach out to the subgroup to discuss first before bringing it back. But I had some questions just from a city perspective. First off, WPS has a energy efficiency program and a managed care program, or not managed care, managed account program for different buildings. And the energy efficiency is for non-industrial, and through that program, they often offer energy audits. So just off chance, do you know if any of the municipal buildings have taken advantage of that?
I do not know. I can't imagine we have. I'm not with. We have a maintenance supervisor, Tom, who manages all the buildings. I'll discuss with him to see what he knows. If we have scheduled projects, especially that are ran by consultants, because he has so many buildings he manages. It's a lot. But he often consults out the work, especially for like boiler replacements and stuff like that. So we can see maybe through consultants if we've taken advantage of those programs, but I'm not always in the know on that end of things. But
Okay.
So I don't know. Maybe we have, maybe we haven't.
I just thought I'd shoot it out there just in case you maybe were aware. But then the other question is the work plan. It does mention that we are able to use consultants. It doesn't say whether or not we're supposed to go through the RFP process. So kind of the question is, one, what is the authority on that, on whether any commission efforts need to go through that? I know I sat in on a common council meeting where they did go outside of that process, but I wasn't sure the reasoning. So I'm wondering if we're just deferring to the work plan, it kind of doesn't speak on the topic.
So RFPs in the city are generally depends on how much money you're looking to spend. If it's under a couple thousand, you just get 3 quotes. We can move forward. Just pick the cheapest or most cost-effective option. Once we exceed that, like this program would, we would have to go through an RFP process.
Okay.
That RFP would be drafted, brought back to the commission for approval, and then it would go to common council for final approval before going to the consultants we're asking. We'll get their quotes back, come back here for your consideration and review, and then go through common council again for award. On the Pollinator side of things, it'd probably be a similar process with 10,000. If we're looking for an RFP to expend that money, or if we're looking to expend that money, we may have to go through the RFP process, especially if we have a single planter or greenhouse in mind to do the work.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yep.
Okay.
So I'm confused about the quote. So can you clarify what you're talking about? Because I don't remember the subcommittee discussing getting a consultant, and what would that quote all entail?
Yeah, we could probably discuss this. I don't know if it's, well,
Yeah, we can talk now.
yeah. So at a previous subgroup meeting, I don't know if you were present at that one, we kind of discussed reaching out to any consultant to get a better idea of itemized items to go through. So that's just, we're currently pending getting that back. So,
On the city side of things, we do it often too, just to get a reference for budgeting. We'll reach out to consultants with your thoughts to do this sort of project. And then that doesn't necessarily mean we don't still go through the well, we still will go through the RFP process and use that consultant to submit an RFP. They don't always win, is unfortunate. So they do have some heartburn if they go through the legwork to provide the quote for you to build your RFP off of, which they then don't win. But that's kind of just the nature of the game working with government. So.
I'm confused still. I'm confused because I do remember conversations like that, but I also remember us talking about let's be very specific and clear, and we hadn't gotten to the point that we were breaking off to do things singly. The only to do was that Alderman Quigley was going to talk with the mayor about, because what we really want to do is get a grasp on, you know, how much energy and how are we consuming it? What does our city look like? And a lot of that information can come from talking to the mayor and, you know, his staff, and getting their knowledge.
Yeah, I
So
think
I
that's-
don't understand. Yeah.
Wouldn't
Yeah.
the
Understand.
consultant take all that in and
Yeah,
calculate
so-
your baseline off of that?
I can give a little idea. So the consultant, they're going to provide a list of all the services they offer. Now, whether or not we go with all of them or they're right for us, it's something to consider. And from that quote, we will probably get a better idea on what the commission's efforts can be, what information we need from WPS, because at the subgroup meeting that you were at, there was one city that we looked at that, and I think it was Knoxville, where they indicated don't go to your utility unless you really know what you're asking for. So that was part of this quote, is understanding what information we need to gather that a consultant can then put together and do an analysis.
So the subcommittee agreed to get a quote from,
Yes,
you
this
and John
was-
agreed to get
Yes.
a quote from
This
from
was
this
at
person.
a
Okay.
subsequent meeting, yes.
And there's no, okay, I don't remember being asked if I was okay with that or anything, so it's just really throwing me, because I'm on that committee.
Yeah.
I don't remember, I didn't get any emails or anything.
There's nothing really to report on. It's just the effort
Those things
has
should
been
all be
initiated.
communicated when you're on a subcommittee.
Yes.
It's my understanding that, you know, you work together and it's all communicated so everybody knows, and so I don't know. You know, I just think that's why now I'm like trying to catch up to that.
Yeah,
I'm
I
trying to
felt
understand
similar.
it,
I
you
felt
know?
similarly when we met, not understanding, you know, the efforts of other committee members. And that's just what happens. Sometimes you go out and you get information, and then once you have something to report on, then definitely report on it. But at this point, there was nothing really to discuss.
On the city side of things, with the Green Tier Legacy communities, as part of their really application process and annual reporting, we're supposed to be providing baselines for all our energy use in the city. To date, we've determined, especially on the public works side of things, we don't have the time to put in that effort to gather that info to give to the DNR for Green Tier.
So do we have a baseline? Because when I was reading through the work plan,
Currently,
it said
no.
the 2019 baseline.
No, that's what the work plan and
We'll go
the
back to
budget
2019.
is to
Okay.
establish that baseline. Because then from there, then the initiatives for our targets can be
Yeah.
established.
Could it be possible that we decide to use a different year because we don't have what we need from, I guess I'm asking, how was 2019 chosen in this work plan?
Yeah.
We don't need to unpack that all here if it's not a
The work plan is, I think, was passed prior to maybe all of us being on the
Okay.
commission. So we're kind of taking over the effort that was previously established.
Okay.
All right, so the only other further discussion is I would just like clarity as to how subcommittees, if you're on a subcommittee, do you not all have to agree on steps, so you all know you're going, like, I've never been on a subcommittee that hasn't done that.
I think that needs to be an outside discussion. That's not the topic at hand.
Right.
That can be a discussion on another agenda or personally with staff, but that is not the
Okay.
topic on the agenda.
Yeah, I think that would be a good agenda item, just because, just with people being new and, just even me thinking it's supposed to be a certain way, so just
I would
clarity.
suggest bringing that up as a future agenda item if you'd like it on the agenda.
And the intent of the subcommittees are to bring items forth to the commission for action. The committee as a whole does not have, or the subcommittee as a whole doesn't have the power because you lack the quorum
Right,
to really
right.
do any formal action. It's really for discussion and bringing forward info. Whether or not everybody agrees, that's really up to the subcommittee itself, and that'd be a discussion I would recommend to have within the subcommittee.
Okay.
Not as well suited for the commission.
Got it. So we can put that on another agenda item. So does anybody have any further comment or discussion on the clean energy work plan? And then are there any future agenda items that anybody has for the next meeting? All right. So I'd like to ask for a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Awesome.
All those in favor?
All those in favor,
Say aye.
say aye.
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 Opposed? Say opposed.
Opposed?
Meeting adjourned.
All those opposed? No. Okay.
Meeting adjourned.
Meeting adjourned.